Welcome back to Top Guest Studio with me, your host, Joe. For this week's episode 29 is a guest. He is an amazing man and athlete. He has achieved so much in his 72 years, especially in running and triathlon. He was also a Vietnam vet, serving as a trooper in the 3rd Cavalry Regiment. I first started cheering for him 20 years ago. I am still cheering loudly for him now, as he is still winning. Please welcome the man, the myth, the legend, Mr. Bomber Hutchinson. Welcome to the show, Bomber.
Thanks, Joe. I'm almost embarrassed.
Yeah. So, Bomber, you started running growing up in Melbourne at a young age in a local athletics club. Did you have any running goals back then?
No, just to keep running. Once I started it, I just liked it, and I thought I'll just keep running. So I've done the Forrest Gump thing, and I'm still going.
That's great to hear, Bomber. So, you were sent to Vietnam as Trooper Hutch in the 3rd Cavalry Regiment. Can you tell us about driving over a landmine?
Well, it makes a big noise. Well, most people in my unit run over a mine at some stage, and you just hope it's not big enough to do you major damage. And I was one of the lucky ones. Got a blood nose, and that was it. And a hell of a fright too, as well.
That's great. So, did you continue any running training in Vietnam, or not with all the landmines around?
Definitely not. No, I was a driver, drove everywhere, had that little bit of armour plate underneath me. That felt better to me. So yeah, no, not much running over there.
So, Anzac Day is very special to you. And what did you think of all the driveway services?
That was the best thing I've ever seen. And I reckon they should do that every year, as well as the Anzac Day service. Because a lot of people have kids and they can't get to a dawn service. But this way they can have their kids in bed and they can go to the front of the driveway and have a service with the neighbours.
That's a great idea, Bomber.
And going home from the Anzac, I had a run on Anzac morning, then we stopped at the Burleigh where they normally had the service, and there's about a dozen people there this year. And then we drove home after we heard the bugle playing on the radio and all that, and it was great to see all these people in their driveways. And I did get quite emotional seeing them, more emotional than I would have on a normal Anzac Day. So yeah, it was good.
That's great to hear, Bomber. Absolutely fantastic. So, you did your first marathon in 1979. Then the next year, you did an amazing PB of 2 hours and 43 minutes. That is absolutely astounding.
Well, I was more astounded than anyone else, I can tell you. But yeah, it was good. It's perfect weather, perfect place. It was up at Traralgon in country Victoria, and it was drizzly rain. Didn't have to have a drink, not that I ever used to in those days. You just put your tongue out and you just kept going, and I just had a good one.
That's actually a great idea, Bomber.
Yeah.
Tongue out and go.
And depends on the length of your tongue, how much you get to drink.
And you joined the Gold Coast Runners Club and were given the nickname Bomber.
Yeah. One of the blokes asked me, he was a Victorian as well, ex-Victorian as we are, and he said, "What team do you follow?" And I said, "Bombers." So he said, "Bomber." And every time he saw me, he called me Bomber. And then everyone started calling me Bomber. No one knew my real name. And now I don't bother telling them my real name. It's a well-hidden secret. And people think I don't like my name, but I like my name. But, you know, I've got this nickname, and it's a bit of illusion, so I hang on to it.
That's great, man. And so, you've done such an amazing job, and we all know there's a bit of a secret that your wife's hidden. And there's a crazy thing about when we first met you. And so we want to bring back one of your oldest memories. We want to bring back I Beat Bomber t-shirt. Now, Bomber, can you tell us about this?
Yeah, I can. Whose is that one?
That's Mum's.
Yeah, well, she never used to beat me, but I got older and she was younger, so eventually she beat me. So what Leslie did, she decided when I was having me, I don't know, 60th birthday or 50th, can't remember now, 50, 60, yeah, probably 50th, might have been 60th. She decided to print some shirts and give them out to everyone who used to run with me, who I used to beat, but then they got better and beat me, and it was the I Beat Bomber. And that's how it got around. And everyone says every time they beat me, even now, if they know about it, they say, "Do I get a Beat Bomber shirt?" And it was a oncer.
Absolutely astounding, Bomber. Now, you did your first Ironman in Bustleton in 2010, which still involves a marathon, and you having to learn to swim.
Yeah, well, I learned to swim when I was 58 because I wanted to do an Ironman. And I thought, well, I've got to learn how to swim, you know. I nearly drowned as a kid, so I just kept away from the water. So I just learnt to swim at the Southport pool mainly after Southport Runners Club on a Sunday morning. I used to get in the 25-metre pool, and one day they all heard me yelling and screaming, and I've actually swam 25 metres without stopping. And they thought, oh, great, Bomber, you know, and they're all going, oh. But it was a start. So I ended up and I swam the bloody 3.8 for the Ironman and didn't enjoy it, but I had a wetsuit on, so that helped.
Oh, that sounds crazy, Bomber. Now, in 2014, you won your age group at Melbourne Ironman, and then you went on to Kona in Hawaii. Was that a tough experience for you, and how did you prepare for the conditions in Kona?
Well, it was amazing, but the worst thing was the water was so warm you weren't allowed to wear a wetsuit, which made the swim about a third harder for me. But once the swim's over, I just got out of the water, smiled, and then got on the bike and thought, this is great, and lapped it up. And riding through the lava fields on the bike, the temp gauge finally got up to 40 degrees on my bike. And I thought, this is great, you know, 40, yeah. And a strong headwind, which is normal anyway, but this was real strong. Yeah,
Jeez.
But it was good.
And you qualified for the World Champs in the half Ironman in Austria after winning your age group in Geelong. This must have been an amazing trip with Leslie, and how was your recovery after racing?
Well, yeah, that was a harder one than we expected. It was normally 20 degrees and raining when that half Ironman's on, and we got there and they had a late summer and it was 30 degrees, and you know, I cramped on the bike and I knew I was in trouble, and you know, cramped through the run. I ran, walked, and you know, I could have gotten in the top 10 and I just missed out because every time I walked, the other blokes would run in my age, and then I'd see them and I'd nearly catch them and I'd start walking and they'd start running. So it was painful, but it was fun.
That sounds a bit like my dad at Rio. He walks some of it.
Yeah, I've seen him walk quite often, yes. I've got a I Beat Your Dad shirt.
So another brilliant achievement was your successful Masters trip to Alice Springs. Now, can you tell us where you earned your 5 gold medals?
5? Oh, I thought it was about 8, but yeah, it must have been 5. Well, I won the half Ironman, a half marathon, which was the first event, so that was good. But I got pushed by 2 blokes, and it was the same 2 blokes that pushed me in every event. So it was unreal. I checked the form. One of them had won every event the year before, so he was out to get me. But luckily, I did all right. We did a 5K cross country, 10K, and I did the duathlon and the triathlon. So yeah, that's how I got a few medals. It made the trip worthwhile.
That's amazing. Now, do you love it that you have been able to travel and race with Leslie and that you can train and race with your son Andrew, aka Starsky?
Yeah, well, that makes it easier because my wife Leslie runs, and she's a fraction slower, only a little bit. She beat me once. She's got an IB Bomber shirt. I'd done a hammy, so she challenged me to a race, and she won that, so she had to get a shirt. And training with my son is good because we just jump on a bike and go for a ride from home out Talabudra Valley, and it helps. And he swims a little bit better than me, but that's not unusual because everyone does. Yeah, so he doesn't run that well though. I can clean him up in that.
And I can remember my sister and myself cheering for you at Travis Island's corporate challenge events. And it's cool I can still cheer for you at casual Rio Triathlons on a Friday night, all these years later. And you put in an amazing effort and won the last series outright. Can you tell us why this was extra special?
To win the Rio, well, I've done 160 races there. There's 10 races in a series. And I didn't think I was ever going to win it. But then my son won it last year. And I thought, the little shit, if he can do it, I can do it. So, yeah, I didn't do it just because of him. I wanted to win it anyway. But he taught me the ropes on how to win it. So I got there. It's a heavy trophy, but I lugged it home and put it on the shelf just near the TV. So I look at it all the time.
That's so cool. And I love being able to do this with my dad. And I love the Rio experience. I used to love seeing you and Leslie when Mum and Dad used to take us to Warwick to race and cheering as loud as I could. I hope you can soon do a bit of that with your little granddaughter Lola. She will be so proud of you when she finds out all her pa has achieved.
Well, I hope so, yeah. She just doesn't get it yet, but when she's in the team of her father and me and her all doing Rio, people better look out. We're going to win it. We'll be the first 3 generations to win. We're the first, son and I, the first 2 to win the trophy in one family. But yeah, we'll have her on a surfboard in about 6 months' time, I reckon, and drag her through the swim. She'll get there.
That'll be great. And now it's on to a thing I call the fast fire round. And you need to answer these quick answers.
Okay.
Okay. What is the 18K Tally Valley loop called?
Bomber's Loop from memory? Yes. Good question.
What is your favourite beer?
Well, used to be Carlton Draft when I was in Melbourne, but now I'm out of there and I drink that Hammer and Tongs, which is only available in certain supermarkets, but it tastes good.
Favourite Rio format?
Oh, let me see. If there's a duathlon one, that'd be it, but there isn't. I like the long bastard, which is a double distance, which helps me a bit because I'm better at running. But it doesn't help me in the swim, but I wear a wetsuit for that one.
And who got the blue ball? Let's just say on that one.
The last one.
Who got the blue ball on the long bastard?
I think it might have been you, was it?
Or should I say Team Smith and Townsend?
Ah, okay.
Okay. Yours and Lola's favourite activity?
Oh, well, her favourite activity, and I normally just watch her, is eating an ice cream. But yeah, we play ball and we run around the deck, which goes right around our house, and she loves pushing the trolley with the pegs in it, and then trying to throw a few over the balcony, and I've got to try and stop her. It's a good game. Very tiring.
I think that's my favourite dad's activity, eating ice cream.
Your dad looks like he's had 1 or 2 ice creams in his time, doesn't he?
Yeah. And your cooking specialty when camping?
My cooking specialty? There's no such thing. You ask Leslie. Camping. I do a fried egg for breakfast on a pan. That's it.
Do you prefer a hotel or a camper van?
Oh, camper van, every time.
All right. And best Gold Coast restaurant?
Restaurant. Oh, straight. That is a hard one. How'd you think that one up, Joe? Let me see. Let's say Burley Surf Club.
Oh, nice one. And best Gold Coast beach?
Oh, Burley.
Awesome.
No worries.
A PB or $1,000?
Depends what race it's in. Oh, yeah, that's a tricky one. It's another good question. The PBs, if I could do a PB now at anything, I'd be quite happy because it's been a bit of time and the PBs are a bit distant now. I've got to try a new event probably.
Yeah. And who's got the win at Rio this year, you or Starsky?
Starsky being my son, I think it's going to be him, only by default, because I'm going travelling in the camper van before the end of Rio. So I'll give it to him to win this time.
And so, thank you so much for coming, Bomber, and I really appreciate your time. And guys, don't forget to come back, like, share, and subscribe to this channel. And I'll see all you guys next time on another great adventure of Top Guest Studio with me, your host, Joe. Alright guys, see you next time. Bye!